Bears, blog, boys, you know it all, computer, analytic, geeky nerds. Michael Schneider, Tom Cavanaugh, the Bear, blog, boys, know-it-alls. Doing some podcast somewhere. Nobody wants to hear you. Geeks, you pencil-pushing, skinny jean wearing geeks, you.
Coming to you live from our mom's basement, this is the Bears Blog Boys podcast. I am your co-host, Tom Cavanaugh, here with my good buddy and other co-host, Michael Schneider. Schneider, that was one of it could be the most insane Bears game I've ever watched in my entire life. That was one of the most ridiculous yet fun and enjoyable games I can ever remember watching the Bears, buddy. How are you doing, and how was your viewing experience?
Yeah, it was a hell of a time. I went over to my uncle's. My grandfather was there. My cousin was there. And we were in the garage chilling, having a really good time. It was just a roller coaster of a game, right? It takes me back to, I remember I was in middle school when the Bears played the Cardinals during that 06 season, and we came back, and Devin Hester was returning punts and stuff like that. It reminded me of that game. But I think even this one was more thrilling because just the fashion we came back, the way we gave up the lead, the way we took the lead back. It was easily the most insane Bears game I ever watched.
Yeah, I mean, all the way through, it never stopped. It was always entertaining. I mean, it's so crazy, Snyder. I was just doing some prep work for this episode, and I totally forgot that the Bengals returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown.
Yeah.
That play totally got lost in everything else that happened, and it was just one of these games where there was so much going on that plays you would remember in other games just kind of fell under the wayside because of how this game ended and just everything else that happened in those final 2 minutes. But we are going to get into the details of this game, and I don't even know what necessarily to take away from it, moving forward and how sustainable things will be. But obviously, there's a lot to dive into what went into the Bears' performance. We're also going to touch on the trade deadline because of there were some injuries definitely on the Bears side the past 2 weeks that would lead you to believe that they might be active at the trade deadline. Jay Glazer also said that he expects them to be active. So we'll definitely highlight some trade candidates there. But Sutter, why don't we jump right into this game? And I know usually we start off with the quarterback, but I think it's hard to ignore just how good the Bears were as a rushing offense in this game.
Insane, Tom. I mean, 283 yards on the ground. Monangai, the bulk of that, 176 yards. This is probably his first game ever over, he had 26 attempts and he delivered. I get it gets the Bengals, but I seen a guy that was very instinctive, very powerful, just running through contact. He made very powerful looking cuts, and the guy was just low center of gravity, just keeping it moving, that's hard to bring down. Tom, I think the Bears found their guy. I'm not trying to say their guy, but I think I get it's against the Bengals. I think Monangai earned the trust to carve out a significant role, and I think he deserves it moving forward.
Yeah, 100%. I think he's going to get more of an opportunity. I love the balance that the Bears could potentially find with Swift and Monangai. I think they're awesome complementary pieces. And Monangai just coming up in such a huge way as a 7th-round rookie and really just taking on the bulk of the carry. I mean, Britton Brown had some moments. He had that the longer touchdown. It was, I think, a collective unit when you include the offensive line as well. But, I mean, you got to give flowers to Monangai. He was huge in this game. Snyder, you mentioned it, 283 total rushing yards. That was 7.6 yards per rushing play. Some insane stats, Snyder. There's some other ones. So they averaged 3.10 yards per contact, or I'm sorry, 3.1 yards before contact. That if you would want to look at where that would rank in the NFL currently, the Jets lead the NFL in yards before contact per attempt at 2.45, and the Bears had 3.1, right? So just skyrocketing over the leading team in the NFL, which is insane. They averaged 0.37 EPA per rush. If you want to put that in context, Josh Allen averaged 0.25 EPA per dropback last year as the MVP of the league. And the Bears were averaging 0.37 EPA per rush. That's per rush. That's absolutely insane numbers. They had 0 stuff runs, so they didn't take a negative or even a neutral gain on any of their runs. They had a 64.9% rushing success rate. I mean, just absolutely bonkers numbers. And yes, you do have to preface with this was the Bengals defense. They are absolutely horrible at defending the run. And Steiner, I'll take that a step further. I think, yes, the Bengals are bad at defending the run. There's no doubt about it. But why the Bears had so much success is this offensive line is totally feeling themselves. I mean, they're just playing at such a high level across the board. Look, Theo Bennett has his problems in pass protection, but he was awesome in the run game, just climbing to the second level, making plays, just really clearing out runways for our running backs. And then Darnell Wright, I don't think we can – his growth as a run blocker, I think, cannot be overstated enough. I mean, that was not even what he was supposed to come in and be for this Bears team. I mean, no one said he was going to be like a horrible run blocker, but that was people's concerns with him, right? They drafted him for pass protection. He is taking a massive leap. He is currently PFF's second highest graded run blocking offensive tackle. You see it on the field. He is absolutely killing people. Doesn't matter if they're on the line of scrimmage. Doesn't matter if they're at the second level of the defense. Darnell Wright has taken a massive leap, and that's why you're seeing such a cohesive running game. This is exactly what Ben Johnson wanted, and I think the offensive line is just as big of a part of it as the running backs.
Yeah, Darnell Wright's going to get paid this offseason. I don't see the Bears having any hesitation with that. And that's the thing with Darnell Wright. I remember, like, that was your guy coming into the draft, and it's not because, like, what did he come out as? Like 330 pounds, like somewhere around that. Like on paper, he looked like that, just like, big pass blocking guy. But it was always overlooked by some. Like, yeah, he's not dominant in the run, but don't get it twisted. He has the ability to be, and it's been a work in progress. And he just totally broke out. He just looks like a mauler. Tom, how about that play that you keep seeing over Twitter when he just mauls and drives Bengals first round pick Shamar Stewart, into the ground there, Tom. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful things. And you're seeing stuff like that week in and week out with him. Like, it's nothing new.
Yeah, I mean, he really has taken on the Penei Sewell, and I don't want to compare him like Darnell Wright's his own player. I'm not trying to say like he's the Penei Sewell of this offense, but like I think Ben Johnson has trusted in him that when we're trying to pound the ball, we're running to your side and we're going to make shit happen because you're going to move people. And he's really taken that role on. And again, like that was not what he was known for. And Center, I will also say that just the buy-in across the board from everyone, the receivers, the offensive line, they are playing to the whistle. They are finished. I mean, that play Theo Bennett totally rode Geno Stone to the sidelines. Like that was not happening last year. This was a team that looked defeated if like any hint of adversity struck it. Like if an opening kickoff happened, Snyder, last year, the Bears are losing that game, right? There's no way they're coming from that. And just for the Bears to say, like, we don't care, we're going to pound it right down your face and there's nothing you can do about it. It really felt like, Snyder, I know that we'll talk about the Bears passing game, but if the Bears just wanted to keep running the ball, there was nothing the Bengals could do about it. I mean, they knew exactly what was coming. And it's not like they were doing anything that crazy in the run game, too. It was just right at you, and we're going to maul you, and that's exactly what happened.
I mean, Tom, maybe just postseason, there's been a few games where the Bears have rushed over 200 yards, right? Like that, if you're averaging 6 yards per carry and you're having 200 yards per game, you're more than likely to win that game. This is the way it wears and tears a defense, is the way it sets you up in second and shorts, a lot of unpredictable downs. It just keeps the defense on their heels, and they don't really, you don't know what to expect. And you combine that with Ben Johnson's ability to call plays, and it's just a perfect storm when you have a run game like that and what it could open up.
And it makes it so much easier for your offensive line in the passing game, because then that's when you can start working the play action game. And play action is kind of a cheat code for just stalling defensive linemen for an extra second and stuff like that. When teams actually have to like worry about your run game, it just, like you said, it just makes it makes everything easier. And That's what Ben Johnson came here to do. That's why his offense was so successful, because of the marriage of the two. It makes it really, like, when everything looks so similar and you're doing a lot of your pass stuff out of your run formations, like, that's what makes your offense really hard to defend. And I think we saw that, especially in the second half in the passing game. The play action game started to work a lot more. And that's what Ben Johnson ultimately wanted to do. This was a pretty balanced attack. I think they had a 48% run percentage and a 52% pass percentage. Like, in an ideal world, that's what Ben Johnson's offense wants to do. So, yes, there was a lot to be encouraged from that regard. Are the Bears going to have this much success against other defenses? Probably not, but there's too much evidence at this point to, okay, the Bears are just running against bad teams. Like, no, there's been a legitimate shift there's been a legitimate shift since the bye, where this offensive line and this run game is playing with so much more cohesion, and it's one of the better running games in the NFL.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So you bring in a veteran like Tooney, you bring in Jonah Jackson, who has familiarity with Ben Johnson, and a guy, Dahlman, who is just a pro. Like, you're seeing those investments pay off, right? And the more and more that you get time with these guys, with the head coach, with the quarterback, with the running back, and everyone's like building that chemistry, understanding the lingo of like maybe the complexity of the running scheme, it's gonna keep getting, I don't say not linear, better and better, but I expected that it was gonna get better just because the more time together and the familiarity was gonna show eventually.
Most definitely. And I thought it was going to get better, but I did not see the level of how much better it's gotten. And again, like, I know some of that's opponent driven, but still, I mean, the strides they played the Cowboys in week 3, or I think week 3. And their run game, like, the Cowboys are a horrible run defense, and they still weren't running the ball that well. Like, this has legitimately been a shift. I think that they've really honed in on the cohesion of between the offensive line and like the combination blocks, hitting their landmarks, getting to where they needed to be. Like, that just looks so much cleaner. Like, their passing blocks off a lot better, and everything just from an operational standpoint looks so much cleaner. And look, another big thing that kind of goes under the radar this week, the Bears were not penalized that much, right? And I think that was a huge difference in this game, because things were so close. It came down to a lot of like bounces your way, bounces not your way, which, you never want that to be the case, but that's the kind of game it was. And the Bears weren't making the mistakes on offense, I should say, weren't making the mistakes to also put this game out of reach for them. I mean, I think they really just took care of business across the board.
No turnovers for the Bears, right?
Yep.
They didn't give up anything. Yeah. I mean, when you say clean up the penalties too, I mean, that's what's been happening all season, right? Like, a lot of mistakes there. And we always thought, hey, once you get that cleaned up, this offense can put up a lot more points. And man, when they cleaned up and they delivered.
They really did. Why don't we talk about the passing game?
Yeah.
So obviously the big play at the end was incredible. I don't know if we want to start there. I mean, we could actually just start with the performance as a whole, and then why don't we transition to the very end of the game? So I felt like it felt really unsettled watching it in the first half. Like, I just felt like the passing offense was like struggling to get into rhythm. I felt like Caleb was not letting passes rip. And look, I kind of understood why. I think the Bengals were really playing against the deep pass. In our preview episode, Snyder, that's what we were saying. That's kind of what the Bengals want to do. They don't want to give up the explosive play. They want to keep things in front of them. And they don't have a good pass rush, especially without Trey Hendrickson. So it kind of afforded Caleb time to create. He wasn't checking the ball down. And I think that was probably my biggest criticism. It wasn't as bad as I necessarily thought, but I felt like as the game went on, he started to ease into the offense. I think that Ben Johnson was calling plays to get the ball out of his hands, which was encouraging. But overall, I think the efficiency numbers look a lot better than maybe the performance was. I think when you look back at this game, the biggest positive that I'll have is that Colston Loveland just looked like an absolute star. And that goes beyond just the long touchdown at the very end. I think that the Bears were really intentionally trying to make him a bigger part of the offense. He was the primary on a couple of plays that you would think for like Rome or DJ Moore, and he just took the opportunity and ran with it. I mean, he was He was so effective. He was the perfect piece to attack this Bengals defense that does allow a lot of shorter passes, shorter and intermediate passes. And I just felt like the reasons we drafted him top 10, you really saw come to life in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, you got to trust. And you were the first one on this. I always give you credit. You just got to trust the eye test with Colston Loveland, right? And the guy is just, he's like a gazelle when he's running down the field.
Yes.
He is such a mismatch. And you're showing me some plays where he is like separating. This is a tight end, right? He's like 6'7". Like he's a big boy, right? He is just burning past cornerbacks, right? Like now you're talking about if you line him up against a linebacker, like he's such a chess piece and he's such a mismatch that he's like a unicorn the way he moves at his position, right? And that's why you draft him. But then again, Tom, like how was he in the run game? I mean, every time I see him on the field, he is moving guys in the run game, finishing plays, having an impact there, and that's why you're seeing like the Monangai, Swift, also extend plays and everything like that. I mean, I think Colston Loveland has just been. I know he's hurt a little bit, but his impact, it just felt everywhere, and even avenues you wouldn't even see on the box score that you really have to dive into.
100%. In the run game, he's been mashing people. He's been a huge asset there. And then, yeah, I think so like, I don't want to make this a Tyler Warren versus Colston Loveland conversation, but Snyder, the point that you just brought up, like how he runs, like I think that's the real big difference with him. Like if you wanted like a scheme it up, get the guy the ball in shallow parts of the field, then probably Tyler Warren was your guy. Like that's what he does well. He's a good yards after the catch threat. He can definitely like run the seam and stuff like that. But if you wanted someone with a little bit more receiver versatility where you can kind of line him up anywhere and trust that he's going to win. And like, I think there's been a handful of plays on tape where we've seen that. Sometimes he doesn't, sometimes he gets the ball, sometimes he doesn't, with Loveland. And I think Loveland's just maybe of a vertical threat. And the Bears have a bunch of scheming up players, right? Zacchaeus is kind of that way. DJ Moore is kind of that way. Luther Burns definitely. I think like Loveland was just made more sense for what the Bears needed. Right. And I think they're both going to be great tight ends. So I just didn't want like us to lose sight of us as Bears fans and then us as like an NFL community. Like these were two really good prospects that are the top tight ends in most of their like classes. Like this was a really good tight end group. And people were writing off Colston Loveland way too early, just that he wasn't afforded the same opportunities as Tyler Warren because Cole Kmet, an incumbent starter, was kind of in his way. And I think now that we'll see him get more opportunities, you'll just see how much of an asset he'll be in Ben Johnson's offense. And then beyond just like catches and receiving yards, he just allows Ben Johnson to explore so many different formations and move Loveland all around the formation, threaten, run, and pass. Like that was the whole deal with drafting him that I think kind of went under the radar with Tyler Warren having so much success earlier in the year.
Yeah, and then that's the thing, right? I'm not going to fast forward to the end of the game, but at the end of the game, he's in the middle of the field. Then you see other plays where he land out wide and he's burning past these cornerbacks. Like that's the versatility and just the deep threat ability you get with Colston Loveland.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to pick on Cole Kmet, but our guy Austin, he tweeted like Cole Kmet definitely falls down on the last play of the game. I totally agree. Like I don't think. Look, it was a horrible play by the Bengals defense. You got a tackle right there. Yeah. Like I'm not trying to shoot that away. It was a really bad play, but I don't think Cole Kmet had the ability to stay on his feet and make that play happen. And again, I think that just goes to show you how that's not a slight against Cole Kmet. I don't think most tight ends could have made that play, but that just kind of goes to show you how unique of a talent Colston Loveland really is. And I mean, that play was absolutely bonkers, Snyder. It was an amazing throw by Caleb Williams, his best of the game. He fitted it right between like four defenders. It was as good of a pass as you. Even if Colston Loveland goes down, I mean, the Bears probably have a pretty good opportunity to kick a field goal. So credit to Caleb Williams for that throw. It was on time as well. And then Colston Loveland just making that play and being able to get into the end zone. I mean, it was just as good as it gets. It's going to be one of the best plays in Bears history.
Yeah, just it's a display of him being a special athlete, right? Just stay balanced and just turn it up a notch. And he was gliding past. I know he made a miss and he kind of had a lot of blame, but he was gliding. He didn't slow down at all. And even towards the end, he held the ball with two hands just in case. So super aware. play in that situation, nothing flashy, and just finished it totally through. So I mean, just again, hell of a throw, hell of a catch, hell of a way to finish that play. It was funny, Tom. We were watching it in my uncle's garage, right? It's a big TV, and there's a big during that play, there was a big box that came on the TV and said, "Are you still watching?" And so I didn't even get to see it in its live. I
Wow.
just seen the play, and the camera kept moving, and it took us for too long to find the remote and say, "Okay, yes, we are still watching." It was fucking funny, but I just seen the play keep going, touchdown, and I'm like, "Holy shit, what just happened?" It was blocked for us because it had that "Are you still watching?" Thing on there because we had it going so long. But yeah, that was I didn't get to even see it live, but I heard it live and seeing like the camera going. But yeah, we had to navigate through that, and we're like, holy shit.
Dude, that's so funny.
Mhm.
Those moments, man, like
Yeah.
they come. I feel like that notification comes at like the worst time.
Dude,
Always. Yeah.
and it did. But it was just so funny because we heard, and it was weird because, like, again, this is an away game, and you
Mhm.
see, like, the crowd is going crazy, and, like, you
Insane.
forget about that. Like, there's so many Bears fans and the way they travel. But, yeah, we just seen, like, that we heard the announce it, and we seen the camera kept going towards the end zone. We're like, holy shit, like, what just happened? Yeah, and then we eventually got it. I think we eventually seen Loveland get into the end zone. We're like, holy shit. Yeah, that was crazy.
It reminded me, Snyder, of the Minnesota Miracle. Like that, it
Yeah.
was that kind of play. Like where like the defense clearly should have just made a play on it, and they didn't. And like they did the absolute like worst possible thing that could have happened, and it went to the Bears' favor. And look, there's I don't want to sit here and say like water down that play. I want to enjoy it as a fan. That was incredible.
Mhm.
But like, do you want games to come down to those plays? Absolutely not, right? Like that. You don't want to live this way. And I feel like the Bears are kind of making a habit of this season. And look, if Lady Luck's on their side, then it's on their side, right? I'm not trying to, discredit that. I'm just saying you might want to like there's definitely some things the Bears need to, and Ben Johnson said this, like literally at the one of the first thing he said in his press game or post game locker room speech was like, there's definitely some things we need to clean up. We'll talk about those on the defense side of the ball. But I hope we touched upon Caleb enough. I really thought that towards the end, things were getting better. And ultimately, like what I was worried about when watching him on the broadcast was like, okay, is there just like a bunch of open throws that he's not hitting? And I came away watching the All-22s not feeling that way. I feel like the Bengals really just did a good job of keeping everything in front of them. And if the Bears wanted to take short game after short game, then they could have. But really, Caleb was scrambling a lot. And then also, I just thought that like he was trying to create plays out of structure, and he did every now and then. But ultimately, the one thing I wanted to see improve from this game was just if it's not there, just check it down quicker. Like that was kind of what I came away from thinking. And a lot of the times it wasn't there because that's kind of how the Bengals wanted to do. But the Bengals have been horrible at tackling, stopping short passes, and I felt like there were some opportunities Caleb could have taken there. But all in all, it wasn't as bad of a performance as I thought when watching it from the broadcast.
Yeah, it was a little shaky in the first half. I think, and I think a lot of people are saying this on the radio, and I wonder if Caleb still has PTSD from his rookie year in not trusting the pocket to hold up. Like I think
Yes.
he has like this fear that the pocket is gonna collapse sooner than it does. But then at the same time, like again, like the plays that he makes out of structure and the passes that he delivers on the run are just incredible, right? But
Mhm.
at the same time, some of it doesn't need to happen. Like it's a little
Right.
unnecessary where you can kind of hit the check down. But again, there's also plays like again, you watch the second half, there are plays where he does stand in the pocket, steps up, and delivers a strike. Just trusts his arm strength. And I think the play to level at the end is a perfect example. He just didn't bail the pocket. He stood in there and delivered just an absolute strike. You've seen the velocity on that. Him, maybe only a few others could put that touch on the ball. And he put it in the perfect place, right? He just delivered during clutch time. So, again, are there some things that I can nitpick on him? Yeah, absolutely. But are there also some things that I can also give him credit for? Yeah. And I think that's been more often than not, week in and week out. but I think at least thus far, he's shown like he's very capable, right? Like he shows that he belongs, right? The nitpick you have with Caleb Williams aren't like, press the panic button concerns, right? They're just kind of minor nitpicks that you hope to get better over time.
Yeah, and I think as he'll get more comfortable, like that's the thing. Like I don't think he's at a level yet of this offense where he's like it's gotten better from last year for sure. Like don't get me wrong, but I don't think he totally trusts where like guys are going to be in his anticipation, like or just I think when we're talking about short passes specifically, like I don't think he like if he has to get off a primary progression down the field to a shorter pass, like I think his height actually really affects him, and it's not as comfortable checking it down because I don't think he can see as well over the line of scrimmage sometimes. So over his offensive line, I should say. So I think I was seeing that quite a few times. So that's why his first instinct is to get out of the pocket and make the throw a little bit cleaner for him. But I think once he starts to realize like, obviously, you don't want to throw passes blind, but obviously once he starts to get more of a feel of, okay, my check down is going to be here, I can literally just like, if 1 and 2 is not there, I know exactly where that outlet's going to be. And if it's in the timing of the play, you don't need to see it as cleanly. Brock Purdy literally talked about this. Like he's like literally like on like, because he's a kind of a shorter quarterback too. I think he's like 6'1". He was like literally like on like 30% of my passes, sometimes I can't see. I'm just throwing it to a spot. Right. Like, and that comes with time and experience. Some guys are better at it than others, especially like Brock Purdy, who's had to make a living out of playing that way since he's been in high school. Like obviously Brock Purdy is a decent athlete, but he's not Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams got away with doing other stuff. I think with time, the goal is to be where Caleb can play at that kind of level where he is throwing to spots. I think right now he needs to see it come open a little bit more than you would like him to. And that's okay because I think he's still anticipating a lot better than he did last year. I think like that's clearly something they've worked on, but you want him to get to a level where he's playing so fast that he feels a lot more comfortable with his anticipation and placement that, hey, if I get this defensive look, I don't need to see it come open. I know it's going to come open. So I'm going to be quicker than later.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I remember I mentioned it to you. Did you end up seeing that play where I think he trying to I think DJ Moore was running like a curl route on the sideline, and he kind of like forced it in there, but then you had like Travis Homer like almost like wide open there. Like I think like that's the thing that's kind of been frustrating me with Caleb because like you're like forcing it in with a defender at DJ Moore's hip. It's a really hard ball, but then you had Travis Homer there to at least maybe pick up 5 yards and maybe take it forward to the first. It kind of just plays like that I want to see like okay, instead of forcing it into a guy at his hip, take what's right there. Maybe he didn't see it, but just like on the broadcast, it just looked, it was so wide open. Like it's hard to say like how did you miss that when it's just right in front of you? And DJ Moore was just like maybe just 5 yards further than Travis Homer. Like that's one of the things that's hard to say. Like, oh, how did you miss that when it's like right in front of you?
Was that the curl route that was broken up like on the left side?
Yep.
Okay. So I hear you. Mm-hmm. I think that was if I'm remembering correctly. I think that was against man coverage, and like if you have a matchup you like you can go to it. I honestly fault DJ Moore. I fault DJ Moore a little more, but at the same time, like I don't think that's a great matchup anyway. Like that's not what DJ Moore is good at. So maybe like Caleb should have known that. I didn't like the fact that he was running that route. I wish that was Rome that was running that route. But again, like, yeah, maybe he could have gone somewhere else. I don't love curl routes against man coverage. Like that's just never somewhere I'm looking to go to right away. I think Caleb just thought he would have an easy completion because he liked the matchup. But yeah, I mean, totally signed it. I think there's definitely other ways. He missed another one, another check down to Travis Homer as well later in the game. There's the most concerning play, not concerning. The worst play I had him down for was the first sack he took. It was just a sail concept on one side, and Colston Loveland is like so open in the check down in the flat that like Caleb definitely saw him. I don't know why he didn't pull the trigger. I think right now when Caleb gets like any initial pressure, like not even like open, like not even like a free rusher, I would say, just like when a offensive lineman is getting close to him, like getting pushed back to him, his first instinct is I got to create right now. Like I'm going to get out of the pocket and create a play. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I think when he gets to a level of hey, I'm just going to anticipate where my check down is going to be or where the open receiver is going to be in this coverage, I think that's when we'll start to see more progression. And I think there's glimpses of that, maybe not in this game, but throughout the season where he's more willing to stand in the pocket than he was last year. I think we just need to get to where he's even more comfortable at that place.
Yeah. Tom, I wanted to talk about the kind of like the wide receivers or the pass catchers.
Yeah.
Again, just a little bit more. Another game where Olamide Zaccheaus leads the league in targets. And I'm not criticizing Olamide Zaccheaus. He is rock solid, right? I think he has been a home run signing for him just being a contributor. Solid hands. He makes guys miss after the catch. He's a willing blocker. Great signing, right? But again, there shouldn't be a world where Olamide Zaccheaus has 8 targets and Rome Odunze has 2.
Yeah.
I'm glad the Bears won. I'm not really criticizing, but Tom, and then once you get Luther Burden back going, he was concussed this past week. I'm not saying it's not an indictment on Olamide Zaccheaus at all. I appreciate his contributions, but you have a fleet of Ferraris, and you keep going back to your old reliable, Toyota Camry that was handed down to you from your aunt. Going down to with Olamide Zaccheaus. Don't get me wrong, he makes some plays, but you gotta find a way to maybe half of his targets need to at least go to be dispersed to Loveland more, and Donze, and then when Burden comes back, maybe a little bit, maybe they could split it. But it's just one of those things. It's like, am I mad at it? Yeah, but at the end of the day, I do appreciate Olamide Zaccheaus, but yeah, I want to utilize, I want to utilize the horses, man.
Yeah, look, and you're not the only one who's upset about it. Rome Odunze's dad is frankly not happy about some of the usage the past couple of weeks either. I mean, he's literally tweeting about how the Bears need to trade him, but that's a whole nother discussion. But Snyder, I think the big takeaway for me was that Rome Odunze did not look healthy in this game. He just wasn't running the same, and I think that heel bruise he has, which from like the Twitter doctor sounds like it could be pretty serious and really hamper your effectiveness on the field. That kind of has me a little bit worried moving forward. I don't know if that's going to be like a situation where once they get Burden back, maybe they want to sit Rome Odunze a couple games. We just saw Brock Bowers have a similar injury to his knee. I know it's not the same injury because it's 2 different body parts, but a bone bruise that was really hampering Brock Bowers, and he was trying to play through it and ended up just like totally limiting his effectiveness. And they had to sit him for a couple games until that injury healed. The Bears have already had their bye week, so I don't know how they want to handle that. I really thought that Rome Odunze did not look like himself in this game. He had a drop, and that's not why I'm saying he looked like himself. I just thought that the overall play speed was not the same, and I think that injury is really affecting him.
Yeah, you definitely seen it. I wouldn't be mad if they sat him for a couple games. I think this team is equipped to handle it. And again, Rome Odunze, he is, when healthy, the far best separator, man coverage beater. So you're definitely gonna miss him. But I mean, Raiders sat Bowers for a couple games and he comes back and 100+ yards, 3 touchdowns. Yes. Like, you might need to do that to get the best out of Rome Odunze. I'd have him fighting with it all season to get him back right. So, I mean, I wouldn't be mad about it. This team is equipped. I mean, you're still paying DJ Moore. You drafted Burden early. You have Loveland. I think you could survive a game or two without Rome Odunze and just have them in the more crucial games, especially late in the division as well, in the division matchup. That's where I want to see Rome Odunze more healthy.
100%. And look, the Bears have – I mean, the Vikings are not an easy game. Like, that's a divisional game. It's going to be tough. The Bears obviously dropped the one earlier in the year to the Vikings, but they play the Giants, the Vikings, and the Steelers. If you wanted to sit Rome for the next 2 games and let him heal from an injury, or maybe even the next 3, to go on this stretch run of a brutal schedule for the remainder of the season, the Bears then play the Eagles, the Packers, the Browns, the Packers again, the 49ers, and the Lions to close out the year. I would rather have Rome healthy for those games than to just try to force him to play if he can't be his 100% self.
Exactly.
And I'm sure like Luther Burton's availability will be huge on how they want to handle that. But again, it's going to be up to Rome. I don't know if they want to take like a similar approach to what they did with DeAndre Swift. It sounded like Swift was like trying to play through this injury, but I kind of liked Snyder how they just were like, hey, you're not healthy, and you're more of an asset to us when you're 100%. So we're not going to force you out there and just kind of use you as a decoy, which is kind of what they did against the Ravens. I was like, why aren't we seeing more DeAndre Swift? And it's because he
Yeah.
wasn't healthy. And I wouldn't mind a similar approach with Rome.
Yeah, and it worked out fine. So yeah. I agree wholeheartedly, Tom. I think we covered everything on the offense. So unless you have anything else, I think we can kind of transition to the defense here. And I think there's going to be a lot to talk about. Again, this is a team that did give up 42 points.
Yeah, definitely a lot to talk about in the defense. The last thing I'll say is the cool thing with DJ Moore. I love that play out of the backfield.
Yes.
Like that's the way moving forward. Like if you're going to use DJ Moore out of the backfield, if you're going to use Luther Burton, like get those guys matched up on safeties, linebackers, and just have them run away from them, and it's going to work out in your favor. We saw that on that big wheel route to DJ Moore in this game. I just kind of love the usage for DJ Moore overall. But yes, there's a lot to talk about on defense, Snyder. I think my big takeaway, obviously, we need to start Deo Odiengbo tears his Achilles. He'll be out for the season, and his status next year, I don't know when he'll be able to come back from that. It's a brutal blow for him. I really feel for the player. That's unfortunate after signing the big contract and being relied upon on one of the bigger pieces of this team to have your season cut short and then some of your season next year in doubt as well. I mean, that is a brutal injury. So prayers out to Deo. We're hoping for a speedy recovery. Center, I kind of want to start there, or maybe we'll transition to that actually maybe for our last bit of trade deadline talk. And we'll talk about the defense as a whole. Center, my big takeaway is that I think this defense is really slow on the back end. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I thought, brought a different element of physicality that they were lacking without Kyler Gordon. But just overall, like this defense just feels so slow. That what the Bengals did is they were just isolating their coverage defenders, whether that was in zone coverage, whether that was in man, which whenever they were in man, they were getting absolutely shredded and just letting their players be better athletes than the Bears defenders. I mean, Tanner Hudson hitting a double move on Tremaine Edmonds, who's supposed to be this like highly athletic linebacker. I mean, that play in a nutshell just kind of it speaks volumes of the kind of day the Bears had where they were just getting picked on in coverage and they really had no answers for anything the Bengals were doing through the air.
It was bad, Tom. I mean, Jaquan Brisker at the end of the game, I mean, with Joe Flacco was just attacking the middle of the field. All he had to do was like a quick look over, and you have Noah Fant open right in the middle, brings it down. Jaquan Brisker looked just totally lost in coverage, man. It just couldn't make a play. It was bad, man.
It was really bad. I mean, the stats are not kind at all. The Bears were allowing plus 0.1 EPA per play, which was the sixth worst of the week. They allowed 495 yards in this game. I mean, it was just like it really felt like the Bears were just holding on for dear life. Look, I thought actually they had some decent moments with their blitzes. I thought that was probably the best thing they did. They would blitz the nickel, they would blitz the safety, and I thought that was their most disruptive moments. Also, I thought Austin Booker provided them some juice that they were not getting out of Deo. So that was a little bit of an encouraging sign. And I thought the defensive line overall had a decent game. That wasn't really the problem. It really just felt like the back end had no chance. They had no answers they did a decent job limiting Jamar Chase. I don't think Jamar Chase killed them over the top, which is probably the best thing you can say about the back end of the Bears defense in this one. But it just felt like whatever the Bengals wanted from whoever they wanted outside of Jamar Chase, who the Bears were pretty sold on not letting them beat in this game, or they were sold on not letting him beat them in this game. They were able to get. I mean, you said it, Noah Fant, Tanner Hudson, Andre Yoshivas, I thought had a big game. I mean, he torched Tyreek Stevenson in man coverage. It was like one of the ugliest reps I've seen from Stevenson all year. So yeah, I just feel like they're really missing speed on the back end in this group, and it's been way too easy to attack.
Yeah, 9 or 12 targets, 9 receptions for Tyreek Stevenson, 170 yards given
Brutal.
up. He had, I mean, no Sean Wright, not any better, 73 yards given up. Like they just look pretty lost out there. And I get they had a tough match. Joe Flacco gets rid of the ball quick. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins are really good. But just seeing the guys like Noah Fant, Tanner Hudson, Ultravot, like seeing them kind of step up, like that was kind of like a dagger. Like, okay, that probably shouldn't happen. But it was. So yeah, rough day. 470 yards passing. Yeah, 470 yards is typically when you throw for that much yards, you will win the game.
Right.
Yeah, and again, like this, I'm not trying to nitpick the Bears or be like have this negative attitude. Like, yes, they're 5-3, and yes, do they deserve credit for finishing games, delivering when it's crunch time in the clutch? Yes, absolutely. Last year they don't do that, right? The Eberflus era, they don't do that at all, right? Now they're 5-3, but like let's also like we gotta be humble enough to understand like, hey, this team's very close to being like 2-6.
Right.
Okay? And like again, when you're want to consider yourself as a playoff team, a real divisional threat, you want to see these wins by like multiple scores, right? You want to see us take care of business, so we're not fighting for our life at the end of the game, because that's how you kind of sustain wins and you're considered as a threat. Again, all I want is to get into the playoffs. So I don't care how we stack wins, but I gotta remain humble enough to know, like, yes, we're 5-3, but these wins are, I want to say fluky, but very close to the Bears being on the other side of it. And I don't want to live or die by that, right? I want to take care of some opponents, right? I want to take control of the game early on and finish it through and just have it be a dog walk in that fourth quarter to where we're fighting for our lives. Again, not mad that we're 5-3, but let's take care of business and have maybe a more complete game around where your offense doesn't need to score 47 points for you to come away with a win. Even though I love it, but too close, right? Usually you score 47 points, you should take care of that game well earlier than the final seconds.
I think the reason why the Bears have had situations where they've almost blown leads is because when they have to go into their 2-minute defense and they're not as aggressive, they're not bringing blitzes, they're not bringing exotic, like when they're going up against a hurry up offense, they can't get pressure with 4, not consistently at least, right? And then I think when they're in their base coverages and stuff like that, they just guys, there's weak links. Like there was a ton of coverage miscommunications, right? Where they're blowing, like Jamar Chase is like running wide open over the middle of the field. And it's like, how does this happen? Right. This is the guy you guys want to stop. There was I forgot what play. I was just watching it. And it was it was actually not a base coverage look. It was like a pretty funky cover 2. And I don't know who was supposed to pick it up. I think it was Tremaine Edmonds who was supposed to kind of like hover over it underneath it. And he just like totally blows the coverage. It happened multiple times. Him and Tyreek Stevenson can't pass anything off. And it's like, how is this happening in week 8 against the Bengals' best player that you have to like really lock in to stop? I know Tremaine Edmonds had the interception, and I think his coverage grade was okay because of that play. But I mean, he was just absolutely getting torched in coverage. And then TJ Edwards, like if you isolate him, look, he's a really good and smart player that he'll be, if you like ask him to cover parts of the field, I think he'll be good at. But if you ever isolate him in man coverage or match coverage, like Chase Brown was just eating his lunch in the passing game. So like that's again, like just kind of speaking to my point, Brisker too, Snyder. I think he's not an impactful coverage player. He's just not. Like he can man coverage. He can be okay at covering tight ends and stuff like that. But if you ask him to make plays from depth, you're just not going to get much at all, anything like encouraging. And which is why I think realistically, like I would not mind for them trading for a safety, maybe someone who's a little bit more instinctual in the passing game, especially in coverage, and maybe just use Brisker solely around the line of scrimmage, because like whenever he's from depth, like he's just not really adding much of anything. Is he giving up huge plays? No, but that's not like a skill set that you want to bank on. You want to have guys that are impactful. And that was what Dennis Allen's defense was awesome at with the Saints, right? They had Marcus Williams, they had Tyrann Mathieu, like they had other players that I'm trying to think of the other safeties they had that were making plays on the ball, and they're just not getting that from. I think Byard has had his moments this year, and I think he fits more in line with that kind of player who is very instinctual coverage. They're not getting that from Brisker. They're not getting that from the spine of their defense.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Byard's not at this point of his career. He's not the athlete that he used to be,
Right.
but he has the brain, the IQ, and the instinct to make plays on the ball, and that's why he's done it. Brisker, he doesn't have those type of instincts. You brought this to my attention, and I've been screaming for this move. Like a Chauncey Gardner, here, you just put him in the slot, able to plug and play right away. But now he has versatility to play safety. Maybe you do put Byard and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson at the safety, and Kyler Gordon is at that slot spot, or maybe you add another slot, or whatever you do to where you can have position versatility, have depth. Like, again, that's why I've been screaming for that defensive back to our team that has that slot versatility and that safety versatility, to where not only depth for injuries, but like depth for like a game, like a down in situation, right? Where it is third and long and you need someone that's a little bit more instinctive on the safety position, and you don't need someone more so to stuff the run or in the slot, like that's why I've always wanted that position for the versatility and the depth.
Yeah, and that's something I'm definitely looking at, and I think it could allow, like, if you want to get more DBs on the field, you could move Brisker like solely to a close to the line of scrimmage role, right, where he's like a big nickel or like the dime backer. And what I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is at his best is when he's attacking routes from depth. And that's not in the slot, right? In the slot, he's a good blitzer and he's a good run defender. I think we saw that was a big difference in this game from what we were getting from Nick McLeod. I think you saw a more physical player, and Chauncey Gardner got home with a sack in this game. And I think from that standpoint, you like having that filling in for Kyler Gordon at the moment. But what I like about Chauncey Gardner, like in his best moments last year, was it's kind of a similar defense in Vic Fangio. They play a lot of quarters. The Bears play a lot of quarters. Just having him attack routes downhill, like that's what he's really good at. And Brisker just looks like so slow out of his back pedal, like so slow when he has to come forward. Like that's just not like he's always going to be at his best closer to the line of scrimmage. And I think you see him get attacked a lot in coverage, and same with these linebackers too. So that's going to be a problem all year, Snyder. And that's kind of where I'm left at this conversation, is like, it's hard to take the Bears seriously when they have so many problems on their front, and there's also a lot of problems on their back end. And it's just like, when they're going to go up against these really good offenses, do you trust the Bears to just like always come out on top, right? Like, I don't think their offense is at that level yet where I'm feeling that they can just like live and die in shootouts. A lot of teams can't live and die in shootouts, and I damn sure don't think the Bears can either. So until this Bears defense gets fixed, it's really hard to see them making a whole lot of noise this year. And I don't know if it can get fixed to the degree it needs to be during the season. Like, I don't think any trades are saving this Bears defense necessarily.
Yeah, and then here, Tom, I wanted to we haven't really touched on the defensive line. I thought it was another kind of just like poor performance by them overall. Javon Dexter, he's played really well. Actually, probably been the most consistent all year in terms of just one-on-one matchups. Had the highest graded pass rushing grade per PFF for any of the players that played majority of the snaps there. But like Montez Sweat, like he makes a play a game, right? Like he will get a forced fumble, he will get one sack, but his overall body of work for the game, each in and each out, is just so like, it's so like underwhelming. Like, you're not getting what you're paying for. Like, I like that he's on my team, but you just need that one more guy that could play better than him. And I don't know if they thought that was Dio. Maybe not. He's out for the season. Maybe they thought it could be Shamar Turner. He's out for the season. Don't get me wrong. Like, Austin Booker, I'm very excited for his role. The way he just extended his arms and pushed Orlando Brown to the ground on that, I don't know if it was like the force fumble, whatever it was, I forget. That was incredible. But he's not an every down player for this defense. So I don't know what his role is going to be. So I just think you need one more guy, maybe at the trade deadline, just like a dude that you could maybe put there. I know there's some names floating out there, Tom, but again, I don't even know, what's his name? Did Grady Jarrett, like, did he barely even play? I didn't feel his impact notice at all. So again, still criticizing the defensive line in this Poles era. I'm just still pretty upset with it.
Yeah, I mean it's not where it needs to be. I'm looking at their pressure numbers right now, and if you're going to be one of the best defenses in the NFL, you got to be able to dictate games with your front. Like that's kind of where their ability to be these upper echelon defenses, like you can't be one if your front is not able to win its one-on-ones consistently. And yes, Austin Booker had a good game. Gervin Dexter had a good game. This was not a good Bengals offensive line, right? This is a game that more people should have ate in this game, in my opinion, especially Montez Sweat is supposed to be your best player. Like, yeah, he had his moments, but like his win percentage was still pretty low. And he just, I don't know, like it just wasn't a game in which he's taken over. And that's the thing, Senator. You said he makes a couple plays per game. He's supposed to be the guy that's supposed to take over games.
Yeah.
And he's just not that guy.
Right?
Yeah, he's just not that guy. So yeah, I think that the Bears are missing. You love what you see from Gervin Dexter. You're encouraged with Austin Booker. The Bears are missing like two guys. I think one ace. This guy's going to win his one-on-ones, and then another guy who might be in like Gervin Dexter's tier, because I think Montez Sweat is like I don't know, he's not playing like even like a very good number two. Maybe if you got some attention off of him, that would allow him to do that. But I just don't think the production is necessarily speaking towards a high-end number two pass rusher. So yeah, I think the Bears are just missing some additions. They're missing some depth as well. They're losing guys. Look, I don't want to poo-poo Deo's injury, but I don't think they're really going to what he was giving them. And that can kind of lead us into where we want to transition to, Senator. What realistically do you think the Bears can get done with a trade? I mean, I'm kind of under the belief I wanted Jalen Phillips. He got traded to the Eagles. I mean, I can see both sides why you wouldn't want to make that move. He's got a lengthy injury history. That's definitely something I would have been interested in making, though, because I think Jalen Phillips is probably like an ideal number two that could be maybe a low end one for this team. I think he's got that kind of ability. But now when you look out there on potential guys that could be available for the Bears, I don't think Myles Garrett or Max Crosby are going anywhere. Really, the only name that interests me is Trey Hendrickson. But again, what do you want? They're asking for a first-round pick. There's no way I'm giving up a first-round pick for Trey Hendrickson right now. But he's really the only name I'm interested in. I don't necessarily see a slam dunk option that's readily available for this trade deadline.
Yeah, I got to give credit to the Eagles and Howie Roseman. I mean, they have 3 third-round picks before the trade because of who they've lost in free agency. And then they go trade a third-round pick for Jalen Phillips, who they're probably going to let walk and receive another third-round comp for that. I mean, that's just incredible GMing, especially when you have an expensive roster. You have a hard salary cap. You have a quarterback making a ton of money. That's a GM that doesn't sit on his hands and is aggressive and is working the system in such an intricate way. I don't know how every GM doesn't take notes and try to, operate in the same way. But Tom, I think the Bears need to make a move, man. I think that you have to improve the defensive line, whether it's someone on the interior, off the edge. You got to make a move here if you want to threaten this division.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to make a move because I just don't think Poles is the type that is just going to sit on his hands. Sometimes I think he just makes moves to make moves. And, Quentin Williams was another guy that's available. I think, I'd definitely be interested in. I wonder what he would cost in a trade. But there's some other, popular names out there that I would look at. Bradley Chubb. I don't think Bradley Chubb's necessarily moving the needle, but yeah, would he give you more depth? Absolutely. And he's probably not going to cost you a whole lot. I'm thinking a day 3 pick, maybe even a pick swap. So yeah, if they made that move, would I approve? Sure. But I wouldn't expect like a huge difference in this defense. I think he's still kind of more of what the Bears already have. Jermaine Johnson, he's an interesting one. I think I'd be more in on Jermaine Johnson probably that because he's at least shown more pass rush potential than Bradley Chubb has in a long time. So, and Bradley Chubb's coming off a pretty major injury in his own right. So, there's a couple names out there, Snyder, that I could definitely see the Bears being in on. But again, if you're not going for the top end guys, I just don't really I'm not expecting like huge changes with whoever the Bears go after.
Yeah, I would actually like a Bradley Chubb. I think it would have to be like, again, another thing that gets overlooked how the Eagles acquired Jalen Phillips, that the Dolphins ate, I think, majority of his salary. So the Eagles for this remainder of the season are only paying him like I think $1.5 million. I would say if the Dolphins are very serious and their owner steps up the same way, they would do the same thing with Bradley Chubb, to where the acquiring team is paying him like pennies on the dollars. And I think that might drive up the price, but I think it has value in it to where it's not hurting you against the cap. Maybe you keep him for a couple of years, you restructure the contract, whatever it is. I think there is value in that could drive up the price to like maybe like a fifth, maybe a fourth. And I think I would be game with that just to have maybe more depth in the room, because then maybe if you get a Bradley Chubb at like a very, very valuable contract, maybe you could entertain like maybe moving on from Montez Sweat, saving north of $20 million. I'm kind of looking at it from that angle, like take advantage of a team that just wants to maybe move on and get turn it into a fourth round pick to where it could be valuable this season and next. So I think if it's played that way, I would be okay with the Bradley Chubb. Or just give me someone that, yeah, I don't really know who else is out there, Tom. I heard like maybe Jermaine Johnson. I think he's just like a younger version of like a Bradley Chubb, maybe just a body there. No one else that I could really think of that's really out there and available.
I'm looking at Sport Track right now, or Spot Rack, and Boye Mafe was a name that they have down. I don't know why the Seahawks would trade him. I know he's in the last year of his deal, but he's actually been pretty good these past couple years. I mean, he's been okay. I think I would like him more than the two names we brought up. So he's definitely maybe an option you want to look at. I don't know what he would cost. I'm sure he'd cost you pretty similar price than what you're getting for that. What what Jalen Phillips got, because I think he's been that kind of player. And he definitely fits Dennis Allen. What's his height, 6'4", 261. Like he'd work there. Arden Key is another name, but I don't know. Arden Key's kind of lighter. I'm just looking up these guys on the fly. We should have probably had a better list of names. Yeah, I don't know if Arden Key is someone that the Bears would actually consider, because he just is lighter, doesn't really fit the mold of what you'd expect. And again, I don't know like how aggressive this Bears regime wants to be. Like, is this a year they truly see themselves as a contender? I think that this is more of a year where there are going to be bumps along the road and there's going to be growth that takes place. And maybe next year is going to be a better spot to make maybe an all-in push. Maybe if the Bears even want to trade their round one pick next year for someone that's more established that comes available from a pass rushing perspective. Maybe Max Crosby really wants out of Vegas. Like, I don't know if they need to make a move aggressively, center, unless, like you said, they really feel that that they have a chance at this division. And they probably do feel like they have a chance at this division. Like, I'm not trying to say that, this year should just go into the tank, but is this your year you want to be aggressive? And is this the best use of resources, I should say?
I think if you're going to do it, I think my max price is a third to like a six. Like, I wouldn't trade around 1, around 2, where we're at as a team. I think there's still holes that we need to fill with those picks. So yeah, I mean, if you're shopping in the 3 to 6 range and you're getting a defensive line starter, maybe rest of the year and beyond that, I think that's a good calculated move. Is because I just feel like defensive linemen, when it comes to even round 2, 3, 4, are very hard to come by.
Yes.
I know that might be a bad philosophy for some, but I think with defensive line getting the sure thing, I think you could do that a lot easier at the NFL level, given their production, versus taking a shot into the draft. And I'm just talking about defensive line exclusively there. So I don't have a problem with being aggressive with the third. Just got to be the right guy.
Most definitely. I'm I'm also considering adding a corner. Like, I don't know what Tyreek Woolen would cost in a trade. He's on the last year of his deal. I think I've seen enough of Nahshon Wright at this point. Like, he's had his moments this year. He had that pick six earlier in the year, and like he's played admirably. I just think he's going to continue to get picked on as long as he's out there. And is Tyreek Woolen been this like all pro type of player? No, but I think he'll give you more juice on the back end, which is something this Bears defense desperately needs. I think they just lack overall athleticism. On the outside at safety, I don't think Brisker's going anywhere out of the starting lineup. I think he's like too much of a leader to like fully move on from. But like, do you want to add another safety in this room for very cheap? I'm kind of looking. I think the market is maybe better for secondary players, and if you can add those guys for like late round picks and just get some depth in this room and let the best man win, I'm pretty attracted to that idea, because I think the people, yes, the front has been the main issue for the Bears, but it's not like this with the injuries that the Bears have had. It's not like this back end has played incredibly either. I kind of like Frankie Louvu. I don't know if the Commanders would trade him. The Commanders are kind of like a low key team that could sell. I think Frankie Louvu would be an incredible fit for this team, because he's really a guy that can rush the passer, yet also drop into coverage. And that's really something I think the Bears are missing with this defense. Like, Dennis Allen wants to bring a lot of the guys to the line of scrimmage and kind of fake who's coming, who's not. And they don't have a linebacker presence that can legitimately rush the passer. And I think Frankie Louvu would kind of be a guy that would open that up for him. He's someone I'm definitely monitoring. If he was available for a trade, I would really like his presence with this defense. But I think they can make some back end additions to shore some things up and maybe be more aggressive at attacking the front next year.
Yeah, I would be totally open to a move like that. I wanted the Bears to be aggressive, but a little bit more calculated, not a first round pick, not a second round pick. Because be calculated, get some dudes you can plug and play. I think it's really easy on the defensive line, to plug and play. And if you, with the defense, maybe just find some guys that have a little bit more familiarity with the staff there to make it easier for a plug and play. But yeah, just be very calculated with it is all I ask.
100%. Yeah. And it's hard. It's tough, Snyder, because we probably should have mentioned this. Like, the Bears are pretty locked into the D-line guys they have. So it's hard to make a huge addition. Like, that's what I think was probably making them hesitate with Jalen Phillips, is like Poles never wants to just – I don't think the Bears are in a position, and on top of Poles never wants to just like have guys as rentals. Like, the Eagles can afford this, right? Like you said, you laid out every reason why they could do that move, and it makes sense for them. The Bears are not in that position. So like, if you trade a third round pick for them, you'd probably feel pretty obligated to extend them. And like,
yeah,
it's just tough where the Bears are at. They made their investments, they swung and they missed. And it's even more unfortunate now that with Deo, like, they can maybe talk themselves into, okay, Deo's going to be here for at least the next year, right? Like, I don't know if that would have really changed unless Deo he's really struggled this year, so maybe I'm wrong. But like, now I'm not really counting on him in any capacity next year. Right. Like, he's just a rotational piece. Like, I'm not expecting him. I'm not locking myself to him into the idea that he's going to be my starter because of the injury. We have no idea how he's going to recover, what that timeline is going to be. So yeah, I mean, it is just a huge need. And again, it's really hard to attack such a huge need in the season.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Same with Montez Sweat. Him or Deo do not stop me from using a first round pick on an edge or making a significant trade or making a significant free agency. Like, they don't stop me. I will move on from any of them in a heartbeat. I know you're locked down a little bit more with Dio, but they're not stopping me at all. Same with Grady Jarrett.
Right.
And it sucks, right? Because of the swings and the money that we did pay him. Like, that's kind of like an open wound. Like, damn, like, how did we put all that into this? And we're still talking about how much we need an edge, how much we need another presence next to Javon Dexter. Like, that's the frustrating thing. But don't double down on your mistake and be stubborn about it, right? Be proactive. Get the talent if it comes to you there, and think long term. Don't be afraid to admit you're wrong on those guys.
Totally. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. All right, Snyder. I think that's going to be it, unless there's any other names you want to talk about. I don't think the Bears really need to make any additions on offense. We talked about a potential DJ Moore trade. I just don't think it's going to happen this year. So unless there's anything else you want to add, we're going to get out of here. We'll be back to preview the Bears and Giants game. And then obviously maybe we'll have like an emergency pod if the Bears end up making some big trade. Yeah. We shall see. They have till 3:00, I think, Central Standard Time, to make a trade. So until we meet again, y'all keep it real. Bear down.
Bear down.